this isn't the third time I've tried to record this commentary, for fuck's sake, you son of a bitch. You know what? This time, I have notes. And I'm gonna do this time and not have... See, I had to record this thing so many times because the first time the commentary was absolute garbage, and that's where I put it, right next to my hopes and dreams. And the second time, there was too much stammering, dead air, and so forth, and too much conjecture, and I wasn't happy with it. So this is the third time I'm trying to record this, and I had to write some notes. This is post-commentary, by the way, which is a first for me. That's why it's so fucking hard. So I don't know what to talk about with you people. Jesus. Anyway, hello, and welcome to Dark Souls. And watch me kick this man-serpent warrior in his tight little tushy. Scaly, slippery little scaly tushy. Anyway, so, I don't think I mention it right off the bat, but you'll notice Sigmire's gone. Old onion bro. He just sits around and he doesn't believe in himself, and he waits for other people to do things for him, even though he's perfectly capable himself. But he's not a man of action. He's a man of riding on my coattails, my stinky, wet, leathery coattails. And he's kind of a... Yeah. Well, a lot of the characters in this game kind of have like their own little idiosyncrasies like that. But his is, you know, always wanting, you know, the glory and fame and fortune and all that kind of stuff, but he's not willing to risk anything to get it. And that's probably why he's just been stuck here for so long, just waiting and waiting for the Sen's Fortress to open up. But more on good old Siggy later. So we're doing Sen's Fortress, which, believe me, is the furthest thing from joyous on my hand. I tend to eat shit in this stage so much. I don't know why. I think it's because I tend not to go slow, and when I try to go slow and not just have it a panic runs to the end, and I'll come back later for the items I know right where to get the items that I actually want and that I'll use, but all the other ones that I had to like get for like sake of like the LP, you know, I forgot a bunch of them and had to backtrack. And if anybody's backtracked in Sen's Fortress, they know how much of a pain in the ass that can be. So I neglected to jabber to Andre, and if we would have, he would have told us about Sen's Fortress. Imagine that. And he would have likely told us that he mentions that like Sen's Fortress is like a proving ground built by the gods, and I not sure how accurate that is. I mean, it's like a proving ground built by the gods, most likely Gwendolyn, because by the time you can just look at a bunch of architecture and different things that just don't make sense, and it almost seems like the proving grounds, air quotes, were actually like a later, like a, what do they call that, like retrofitted. And I believe I'll point out some of the examples when they arrive. And these little cuties are, they're called serpent warriors, but they're weapon is called like Man Serpent Greatsword. So I'm not sure why in the game files they're called Serpent Warriors, but their weapon is called like Man Serpent. Maybe they're they're kind of tough. I'll get into that in a minute. But yeah, they're called the I just call them Man Serpents, who cares? And they're kind of from like the Kingsfield days, because FromSoft likes to reuse old assets for all of eternity. Just look at like the Moonlight Greatsword and like that weird 2D RPG they made for like, I forget what console it's for. I should have looked that up. But that, and then what the hell? Yeah, they just like reusing stuff. I mean, they're cool enemies, don't get me wrong. But yeah, Sen's Fortress is pretty much where the game goes from holding your hand to shit's got real, yo. And it's kind of weird because I think it's a really good, I don't know if they designed it this way or if it just happened to line up. I'm guessing it's just a coincidence because they probably didn't think this far ahead. But like, Sen's Fortress is the perfect place for, we'll talk about those Silver Knights later. I think I stop in my original commentary. I was talking about how they don't make any sense. But it's a perfect place for the game's difficulty to ramp up because you have all the environmental hazards of Sen's Fortress and like the myriad of traps and bridge axes and stuff to kind of help you deal with the high-ass hit points of all the enemies. All right, now, Silver Knights. Or their statues, rather. They kind of almost look like they have like open palms and like they're kind of like, I don't know, you see it in churches a lot with like statues where like their hands are held out, and God, I am terrible at parrying these things. God damn it. I forgot about that. But anyway, their hands are open and they're almost like gesturing, like, you know, welcoming you in to Sen's Fortress. But they kind of also look like they could have been holding something at some point. But I don't know. I don't agree with that. I think that before Sen's Fortress was turned into a German sex dungeon for Gwendolyn, because yes, he swings that way. He's a kinky man. He's a kinkman. There was just all these like statues that originally were there like to welcome you, and they had like swords or, you know, accoutrements or decorations or whatever in their hands. But when they turned it into the creepy sex dungeon, they just kind of ripped them all out and shoved them all like in big, like you can see up here on the left. There's another room where it's more evident that this theory could be true, albeit it's, you know, just conjecture because there's no way anybody could possibly know because it's a video game. But see how they're just all like, they're just randomly everywhere, and it almost looks like some maintenance guy just had like a fuck ton of them and was just like, oh my God, we got to get all these out of here. And like, we got to make room for all these traps. And like, there's some rooms that are just like full of them. Oh, that made my butt clench up. These are the, I think they're called serpent mages. I tend to think they're female for some reason because they have perky little bosoms. See, this room is another one. Like, why would they just be randomly scattered all around if they were like supposed to, like, there's no reason to have that many. Like, there's just piles of them everywhere. So they're probably just taken out of all the rooms and just shoved wherever to get rid of them. It's almost like Funko Pop toys. Like, you just have so many of them, you just gotta, you know, shove them all in like random corners of your room and random places in your house. God, these man serpents now are serpent warriors. Like, they've been here, how many hundreds of years have they probably been here? And they're so stupid, they don't know that there's a big, huge boulder just rolling around. Or they're just playing around because they're also undead and they come back and they just don't care about life anymore. Right in the dick. Right in his slithery, scaly snake dick. You can see that guy sleeping down there. More on him later. All right, let me look at these notes. Trying to figure out what I've talked about, what I haven't talked about. Yeah. Okay, we're there. God, I'm gonna run out of notes way too quick. This is what happened last time. I'm like a third of the way in, or like a quarter of the way in. I'm already, see, look at all these silver knights, just throwing them around. There's too many of them. Oh, ring of steel protection. I don't read the item description in the game because I'm retarded. But the in-game description is the ring belonged to Knight King Rendell. It grants its wearer protection by boosting defense against physical attacks. Of the many legends surrounding the Knight King Rendell, one of the more well-known speaks of his standing down a giant drake and slashing it to pieces. Okay. Knight King Rendell. He is the Knight King of the Baranike or Berenice or Baranike Knights, which are the big black, the BBKs in the Dark Souls world. There was one in the undead and their leader, or their king rather, is the Knight King Rendell. And he apparently tried to because I'm presuming that corpse we picked that off of, even though undeads can't have a corpse, makes no sense. Yeah, I'm presuming that was the Knight King Rendell, and we were just like taking his ring, or some random little like pygmy or dreg could have picked it up and died. But for the sake of this, we're gonna just assume that was Knight King Rendell's corpse, everybody. Even though his corpse, it's not a corpse, it's just a, I don't know. This game just folds its logic in itself and pukes on its dick and whatever. But anyway, he's the king of the Baranike, or Berenice, or Baranike. And a thing about the Baranike, or Berenice, I don't even know what the fuck it is. I'm just gonna call him Baranike, because that's what Body Video calls him, I think. But, where's my notes here? It's kind of weird, because that's like a city in Egypt, evidently. And there's also a, the wife, that was the name of a wife of an Egyptian ruler, like Berenice II, I believe. I'll stick her little like Wikipedia page thing in the description down there somewhere, maybe, if I remember. But it's just kind of a strange name to choose when picking what to call your God damn it. Yeah, your night people. But whatever. That's what he wants. Miyazaki, that's what he likes, so whatever. And here, I fell for this the first time I played this game. You'll see all the blood on that. I don't believe I look up high enough to go through the spikes. You can kind of see them up there. But yeah, you get like skewered if you ride that up. And yes, I did fall for it the first time. Here's where most of the knights are. They're just like, get them out of here. Get them out of the damn castle. We're trying to build a sex dungeon here, and we got all these silver knights sitting around everywhere. Throw them in the basement. Oh, mimics. Shit, I gotta grab my Dungeon Master manual, or my Monster manual, because I want to read you the description of mimics off of Dungeons and Dragons. And for the time being, you can sit here and watch me stare up this hallway and then eventually just stare at that hole for like a whole minute. Be right back. Okay, first off, we'll do the book later. You can see the mimic is breathing. Look at how cute he is, like sitting there. And I believe I was gonna throw a Lloyd's Talisman at him, but oh, there it goes. And I remember saying in the original commentary, I don't have any Lloyd's Talismans to throw at it to show you how we can sedate him or put him to sleep or drug him. Because I'm, again, the R word that I'm not allowed to say. But, yep, you can see him just snoozing away down there. He's just like, come on, you bitch. Like, touch me. Just try to open my mouth full of finger bones. Which I think you can see. I stun one later and point out that it's finger bones, not teeth in his mouth. But yeah, the chain thing, everybody knows that. What am I even talking about it for? And I do want to, God, I'm reading you the description from Dungeons and Dragons. Because it's relevant in a neat way, I think. Let me find it here. Mimic 220. This is 5th edition. If I can count like a big boy. There we go. You'll notice the bracer on his right wrist. All right, we'll save that for later. And lightning spear, who cares? All right. Jesus, I can't. All right. Mimics. Mimics are shape-shifting predators able to take on the form of inanimate objects to lure creatures to their doom. In dungeons, these cunning creatures most often take the form of doors and chests, having learned that such forms attract a steady stream of prey. Dramatically close book. That's, of course, not Souls lore. That's Dungeons and Dragons. Oh, yeah, there's a ladder down there. Who knows what it's for? It's pointless. Oh, unless... I guess it isn't pointless. I've never had to use it. And since when does FromSoft give a fuck if you can get back up somewhere that... I just think they would have killed you. But anyway, mimics. I'm thinking in this game, even though they don't really talk about it, and if they do, I'm sure I'm sorry that I missed it. But it's probably on the symbol of avarice or something like that. But I'm assuming, being that it had a bracer on and it had kind of a human form, that at some point in time, it was a creature that likely was like cursed. And the reason why it looks the way it does is because it was probably like a really greedy human, or as the name like avarice suggests, it's like, you know, extreme greed. And actually, let's Google that word just for funsies, because I want to read you the actual definition. So what else do we got going on here? Avarice, extreme greed. Avarice, extreme greed for wealth or material gain. So basically, if somebody had a crippling addiction to like stealing things, Winona Ryder, or, you know, kleptomania, or like people just hoarding treasure like dragons and Lord of the Rings or D&D or whatever, their undead curse, like their extreme greed mutated their body, much like how Smo or some of the giants like get big and fat from eating too much humanity. So for like partaking in too much greed, the punishment with your curse, like your undead curse, is that you turn into a weird treasure chest. Like you are what you eat. Like you become the thing you sought after most, or something. Whatever. I hate this guy. He's an ass. He makes backtracking. He's not that bad, like going straight through, but if you need to backtrack, he is kind of a pain in the ass if you forget to kill him. Because he will slap you around on this bridge like it's nobody's business. I just watching because I forget if I actually made it or not crossing that bridge, so I love just seeing if I'll do it. I wish I would have looked at the giants up there. Come on, turn around, do it. Where are you going? Oh, for God's sake. Why do I even... I'm just watching myself, like, why? There's more of those stupid silver knights. Get them, shove them in the basement. I would have just integrated them into the kinky sex dungeon. You could, like, use them to... You can go down there, by the way, but I'm an idiot and forgot you could. Yep, just get shot like that. But anyway, yeah, just build a room for those, like, what are those people that like to be watched while they bang? You know, since there aren't that many people that are coming to Sen's Fortress these days, you just use the Silver Knights to kind of make an audience of you for yourself. And then you, like, stand in the corner and, you know, singe your pubic hair with a lighter or whatever you like to do that gets your rocks off. Oh, and the Balder Knights. Why are they here? Well, sir, let me tell you what. The Baranike and the Balder Knights both came here to get to Anor to evidently or presumably see the fate of the undead, which could be taken, like, that's the thing with a lot of these games. Sometimes they have like these really great wind-ups and startups to the story, and it's like, yeah, why did they go? Why are they there? Why? And then it's like, well, they came here and they're going to see the fate of the undead. Which makes no sense. So, because we're bad writers. It's more or less they're not bad writers. I'm kidding. They are kind of bad, let's face it. But yeah, the fate of the undead, huh? That's why you're here. That's the excuse. No other reason. Why do you need to go to, like, you mean the fate of the gods? Like, that makes sense. I can get behind that, but fate of the undead. Well, I guess unless the gods are undead, but they can't die because they don't have the dark sign. Whatever. I think when I go back up there, I actually look at the giant this time, and I do have another thing. Gotta grab my notes. Do have a thing about the... Yeah. I love it when, like, he just looks like he's just putting his balls in those holes all sexually, and you kind of interrupt him, and he's like looking at you like you're judging him. He doesn't like that very much. But when I come up here and stare at this big, sexy man, they're wearing armor, or makeshift armor, which is kind of weird, because I'm guessing that they built Sen's Fortress, like through like some kind of slave labor or something like that. And why are they still here performing? Like why is he still putting those balls in those holes? That's what I want to know. Little too late on that. But are they like under a spell, or do they have no sense of purpose? Are they just really dumb? It's just weird that they're still here and still performing tasks like in Sen's Fortress. And here is the this first off, they're undead. These Baronike or Berenice or Baronike knights. I think he's just longing at Anor Londo, just thinking about the good old days, you know? Like what it was like when, you know, his ruler or god or king Rendell was still alive, and, you know, back when they were on their journey to Anor Londo to see the fate of the undead. I'm just going to say fate of the gods because that just makes more sense to me. It's stupid. Fate of the undead. Ugh. Fate of the gods. And he's not even looking at Anor Londo anyway. That's like the undead burg or something. Maybe he was reminiscing about his journey to Sen's Fortress. Who knows? And this here is the undead Prince Ricard or Rickard. Ricard. He's cool as shit, yo. But there ain't jack squat on his story because he's nothing other than a homage or nod to the NPC in Demon Souls that went by the name of Ostrava. And he was also, Ostrava was like a rich trust fund kid that got tired of being royalty and having a cushy life, so he went on an adventure and he died. Just like he died again. You'll lose your souls again and again. Just a handy way to, he's like a handy way to give you that sword, which is Ricard's rapier, which is fun, and I think I kind of try to show the moveset, but there's a reason why I'm redoing this commentary for this part, because originally it was terrible. But yeah, there's a line. Yep. Oh, shit. I was supposed to read that. A rapier with intricate decorations, chosen weapon of the infamous undead Prince Rickard. Rickard's exploits are told in a monolith. He was born into royalty, but he wandered the lands in a fateful, ill-conceived journey. He became undead and disappeared up north, which is where we're at, the Lordran. There's two similarities between him and a piece of gear Ostrava has. I'm not exactly sure what it is because it's been many years since I played Demon Souls. But that line, ill-conceived journey, is like the same line. Plus, they're both wearing poster boy armor and are both royalty rich kids that vanished up north or wherever. Who cares? He's got a cool sword. And I think actually in this, not the next part, but the next part after when I'm in Anor Londo, I think I do some Ricard cosplay. Which, this is weird. I'm coming to you from the future. Because I start getting really bored with just using a longsword. I think, is that page 1 of my notes? That is page 1. Page 1 done. Ugh. That's scary because I don't have much more. I got some stuff on Tarkus and Logan and yeah, that's about it. All right, let me just clean up this notepad document here because yes, I hand wrote some and then I said screw this, I'm gonna type it up because trees and paper and whatnot. I shouldn't do that. That's probably extremely annoying. What was I gonna say? I'm afraid to pause it because I'd desync the commentary. So I literally have to do I go talk to? No, I don't do that in this one. This guy. So, Night King Rendell, which was the king of like the Baronike knights, died way back there in like the Sen's Fortress, presumably somewhere. But this shitlord Balder Knight, I mean, he can kill me, so I guess he's not too bad. But he made it further into Sen's Fortress than the king of the Baronaik Knights. Weird. But then again, I wonder what Sen's Fortress used to look like or be like long before it's clearly nobody, because nobody comes here or cares anymore. Because I have a feeling like all this stuff, you're walking on like the graves of many, many decades of probably wars and different people being here. And at some point, this place was likely, you know, used more frequently by people. So in time, and Lordran is convoluted and all that crap, which I hate because like that's just an excuse for like crappy storytelling. It's like the time is convoluted. And it's like you're just saying that because you forgot that you're like retconning like your own canon meta storylines. I am probably just pulling shit out of my ass and just digging myself into a hole so deep, balls deep, if you will. Might even put my balls in there too. Yeah, the big part of this original commentary was me saying, where the hell am I? Where do I go? Because it had been so many years since I played this, I couldn't remember for the life of me how to get down to that serpent mage and get the cage key to open up that shortcut. Ooh. And if you notice, that Balder Knight has a unique set of armor. His armor is lacking that like red cowl cape thing that all the other ones have. And if we were human, or unhallowed rather, that would be the summon sign of Black Iron Tarkus, right? To the right back there. And there's some interesting stuff about Black Iron Tarkus. And I don't think I went into it in as great of detail in part 9, which is where I'm at, and in the future, because that's where I'm coming to you from. I don't know why I'm coming back. Where am I even going? Anyway. Pepsi. What is this? Balder Knights or Sens. Both Balder Knights wanted to get Anorlando. Presumably, yeah, that's garbage. This is these notes are garbage. I'm working on this document here. Black Iron Tarkus. First off, he's he's another homage or nod to a character in JoJo's Bizarre Adventure, which I recently watched, like I think 2 or 3 years ago again. And he's like let me try to remember. I think he's in season, he's a zombie in season 1 or episode 5, I think. Yeah, episode 5. And he's nowhere near as cool in JoJo, but yeah, that's where they kind of get the name, I think, is from JoJo's Bizarre Adventure. Episode 5, check it out. He's a zombie, you'll love it. What else was I gonna say? Oh, he's a knight of the Baronaik, and he came with presumably, I think he came with Night King Rendell. I would assume they came together. And he made it further than anyone else in the either Balder or Baronaik Knights. Made it, yeah, further than anybody else. And he actually made it to Anorlando, and we'll see his fate Oh, that jump is tricky if you screw it up like I did. Hey, then that weapon's really dumb and stupid. We'll talk about that too in a minute when I'm done talking about Tarkus. Long story short, he slipped and fell, broke his back, and then they just shoved him in a corner to rot and die. And you find his corpse, even though he's an undead. An undead don't have a corpse. It makes no sense. Unless, I think Plague of Gripes mentioned that. Unless his body just, he reverted to like the pygmy and was just like lost all hope and was laying there like, I'm not moving from this spot. What's the point? Laying there like a teenage girl that got dumped after prom for hundreds of years, which I highly doubt. That's completely stupid. It's just, again, it's like Dark Souls just making no sense because they're their own, they can't even keep up with their own lore and story. But whatever. Who cares? What was I gonna say? Oh, the sniper crossbow. So there's like a scope on it, and it's like the description of it is like used by Kareem snipers and all this really cool kind of stuff. And when I found it the first time on maybe like my second or third playthrough, because I didn't know it was there, and I found it and was super excited because I assumed that it had an aim feature like a regular bow and arrow. Nope, it doesn't at all. So what's the point of it being a sniper crossbow and having a scope on it if you can't aim it? Like, you have to lock on, which has got a really short range. Makes no sense. Like, they just made the weapon and like they never thought any more about it and just like threw it out the door. Here's another cool weapon that we're gonna write all this story about it and all this background information, and I don't know what I'm doing here. Oh yeah, I remember. I'll do that. I'll explain that later. But yeah, and I wonder, it actually got me thinking, I wonder if you'd probably get VAC banned or whatever for doing this because it would be unfair. But I mean, if you did it offline, it would probably be fine. But you could probably take the coding from like a bow that allows you to aim it. I'm not sure what language this is written in or whatever, but you could easily just copy and cut and pasta script from like the short bow or whatever and plug it into the crossbow and gain the ability to aim it. I'm not sure, somebody probably already came up with that idea, but you'd probably get banned for cheating. But yeah, and why I'm just jumping off that little ledge, I completely forgot that that was an area that you can just walk around in easy, and I thought it was like some kind of hidden little room or something. And then I ended up giving up trying to get in there. I was thinking of like Dark Souls 2, that oh, what's that zone where you fight the Sentinel bosses? I don't recall their name. It's probably just Sentinel Knights or Sentry Knights, Bots, 2000, Beep, Bop, Boop, Bop. God, what the fuck? Anyway, I thought like for some reason like, oh, maybe there's a secret in there. And there isn't. And then this is about the point in the playthrough that I begin to slowly like bleed from my ear out of just complete and total confusion at like what I'm trying to do. I think I was still trying to find that cage key, which I eventually give up on because I totally forget how to get to it. But then in between this part and part 9, I actually spend some time getting to know Sen's Fortress a little bit better. And then I'm not running around like an idiot, and I actually know what I'm doing and get my stuff and stop this madness. But until then, you're gonna have to listen to me ramble tirelessly and endlessly about absolutely nothing, because aside from some lore about Black Big Hat Logan, I have nothing to talk about. So you're just gonna get, whoa, okay. We're just gonna get me drinking Pepsi and belching into the microphone like a professional. Oh, that was another thing I wanted to talk about. These boulder shenanigans. Does anybody else think that there could have been a lot more boulder shenanigans? I think so, because Sen's Fortress, like, there's so many spots where it almost seems like you can't get to them. Like, there's some of like those rooms with like the grates on the floor and little things where, like, yeah, it just seems like there's a lot more secrets in here. And I don't know if this is how dumb I am. You obviously know what's gonna happen. Why I didn't run back up and re-aim the boulder is totally beyond me. I think this day too was like 90 degrees in the basement, and I was just slick with sweat and losing my mind and getting tilted. But yeah, if like the ball maybe had like an 8-axis turn, or like even 6 or something like that, and you could have like a little puzzle or something where you could turn hallways or turn like bridges, like invert bridges and stuff like that. So like you could get like the ball into like some weird other part of like the fortress and blast through like a wall or something that could have like a chest in it or something with some armor, or break through. Even it could just be like a lore thing. Like you could have the boulder break through like a wall, and there could be like, I don't know, information about Sen or his fortress or her fortress, or why this place is named the way it is, or some more information on it, because it makes, I mean, I guess it doesn't need more information. We know it's a proving ground, but like, I don't know, you could have like a room with like a library or something in it, and all these books and cogs. Maybe there's like a giant like carving big cogs or something that's like not hostile, and maybe he sells like, you know, throwing knives or something stupid. Who knows? It just seems like there could have been cooler stuff to do in Sen's Fortress. And another thing I think would be really cool is, you know, when you adjust this and you go, I'm not sure if it happens in this playthrough thing, but like you'll hear it reset, like you'll hear it go bring and like reset. It'd be cool if maybe there was like some evidence or something of like a guy that was like following you around and like resetting that, like a mob or something that like you could catch later on. And I don't know, I just think it'd be neat, like this little opportunities that wouldn't have been that much more work to kind of help flesh this zone out a little bit more. I mean, despite, I can imagine if you were working on it, like it would just be exhausting to like try to work within the limitations of the engine. And well, we're gonna talk to nope, we're not talking to Logan. To get it to actually like function with traps and stuff is probably a living nightmare. So I guess it's okay. Why are all these locked with the master key and they do nothing? It's like, huh, fooled you. Then you do it again. Huh, fooled you.
I am Logan. I'm a bit cooped up, as you can see. I have a bright idea. Suppose you set me free. I'm old and empty-handed, but I could repay you with knowledge and sorcery. This place is not in my mind. The inactivity is repressive. Oh, heavens! Thank you, I'd say. I'd love to resume my travels, but I must log a few things first, and I owe you a favor. I will return to Farley Shrine. Speak with me then, so that I may impart my sorcery. Oh, hello. Don't mind me. Go on ahead. I'll be back later. Whoa, I'll be just fine, young man.
Pooh ha ha ha. Pooh ha ha. God. All right. Now we get to talk about the lore significance of Big Hat Logan and all his goofy little things. I should have waited. Haha, fooled you. God damn it. Oh, and I think he was lowered down here because why is he... Do you notice, like, we had to blow that wall out like an old tenant? Haha, fooled you. We had to blow that wall out to get in here. So either he's been in here for a very long time, or he was put in the cage and then lowered down in there, and then they like spiked the or tightened the chain to the roof or something like that, or the room above, because otherwise he would have had to be in there for a long time, and that would make Griggs, he would have been looking for Logan for a very long time. So yeah, he was probably just lowered down in there. Anyway, on to stuff about Big Hat Logan. He's got like a lot of story significance and stuff like that, but not like a shit ton of lore, but he is a pretty important character because he alludes to some things about humanity and souls and so forth and whatnot. But yeah, he's like a master sorcerer in like the dragon school. Oh Jesus. Oh, he was even the one guy we talked to, like the crestfallen knight. We don't talk to him in this episode, but he's like the guy wearing the steel armor in that little turret up top, and where you got to jump over the hole in the bridge. He even mentions like a lot of people have tried, like King Knight Rendell and Iron Tarkus and even Logan himself. So that guy knows Logan failed, and he's been there for God knows how long, just standing up there. So who knows what the fuck is going on with this timeline? There's no way to know that I know of. Anyway, so Logan's like the head sorcerer at the dragon school in Vinheim, which is where like what is it, Rickert and Griggs and Big Hat Logan are from. And basically there he toils in his study, presumably, and creates spells and teaches students how to be pretentious assholes, and he refuses to give you the time of day unless he deems you smart enough to bother with talking to you. Which I think you need like a 15 or a 10 or 15 or 20 intelligence. One of those. I know that's a big window. We'll just say 15 because that sounds right. Because why would it be 10? Most people start out with like a 9 or over 10. But, yeah, he doesn't talk to you unless you're like, you know, smart, or as far as he's concerned, you're smart. And he also wears a big, stupid hat that we'll see later. And the reason why, I guess he got tired of people paying attention to him or something like that in Vinheim. So he goes to the haberdashery. I just wanted an excuse to say haberdashery. And he buys a big, stupid hat that he wears for so long it becomes synonymous with Big Hat Logan, hence the name. So, therefore, the hat no longer serves its purpose and makes no sense why he wears it because he's recognized by his big hat. But, you know, I guess big hats are cool. Like, kind of like the ones in the Old Hunter DLC for Bloodborne. I love those hats. Those big, stupid hats. And one of the most important things Logan says is, if you remember in like the item description for humanity, which I will Google right now because I didn't think of this first and I don't want to paraphrase anything. Souls 1. Anytime now. Of course it doesn't have an item description on the wiki. Because why would it? Just a... There we go. A rare tiny black sprite found on corpses. Used to gain 1 humanity and restore a large amount of HP. This black sprite is called humanity, but little is known about its true nature. If the soul... Here's the important part. If the soul is the source of all life, then what distinguishes the humanity we hold within ourselves? And Big Hat Logan, at some point at Firelink when we talk to him, he will say that life begins in the soul. So you can kind of answer the question the humanity item posed by life begins in the soul. And then I think, is that right? Then what distinguishes the humanity we hold within ourselves? If the soul is the source of all life. And then Logan says, no, he just repeats, life begins in the soul. So if the soul is the... If the soul is the source of all life. Okay, so the soul is the source of all life. And then Big Hat Logan says, life begins in the soul. So, yeah. And then there's an item he has, another one, called Homing Soul Mass, and later Homing Crystal Soul Mass at the end of his quest, where a part of it says, life originates in the soul. No wonder the soul mass draws toward it. This sorcery is a window into Seeker Logan's methods. So Logan understands humanity and the soul and how to manipulate it in order to cast magic from oneself. Almost like, kind of like pyromancy, but pyromancy, you have to be handed a pyromancy flame as an heirloom because it's a fragment of the, I believe it's a fragment of like the Witch of Izalith gave the first pyromancer, which I don't remember his name. Oh God, that's it. Goodbye.